How's it going, everyone? Hope you're all doing good. Welcome to this video, which is going to be something new to the channel. This is some long form content which I think is needed, and I'll get into those reasons later. For now, I'll just give a quick introduction to what this is all about. Here I'm just going to be drawing and talking about things, and the drawing is pre-recorded, so I'll just put that on in the background. You might want to watch that and listen to me talk as well, or you might just want to listen to this. Maybe you are doing some drawing and you've got this on in the background. That's what I usually do. I normally do a lot of drawing with stuff on in the background, podcasts and stuff. So maybe this is pretty much a podcast. So anyways, I've put down some notes to remind myself to talk about some stuff today. The first one says, interact with you better. I'm just going to read these off because, one thing that I struggle with sometimes is how I articulate myself. I need to improve and get better at communicating to an audience, and that's one of the reasons why I've decided to do this, kind of like throwing myself into the deep end and forcing myself to start something like this where I'm just required to talk to you as an audience and hopefully explain the stuff that I'm trying to explain efficiently. So interact with you better. Yeah, that's one of the reasons why I want to do something like this. On the channel, a lot of the stuff has been maybe like tutorials, quick tutorials, which, well, the ones that I've been making recently are only about 2 minutes. Obviously, they'll start to get a bit longer as we progress. I'm currently covering perspective drawing on the channel at the minute, so as we progress into the more complex stuff, those videos will start to get a little longer. It's just because I'm trying to dedicate individual videos to specific topics. So like I've got a video that just explains the horizon line, and so I'm trying to keep them ordered and to the point. Anyways, I want to try and communicate with you better as an audience. I mean, I'm creating a lot of stuff at the minute. I've currently got the second channel which I've recently created, Dan Creates. And the reason it's called Dan Creates is because that's what I'm doing on there. I'm pretty much just going to be making whatever it is that I want to. Currently, it's more like filmmaking, kind of entertaining content. A lot of it is art related though. I am going to be trying to produce some kind of artwork in every one of those videos, and then it's kind of like narrative based. There's a story. I mean, if any of you have watched it, you'll know what I'm talking about. If you haven't watched it, then go ahead and check it out. Just, I think there'll be a link on this main channel that will take you over to that video. Give it a watch and subscribe maybe if you think that content is something you're going to be interested in. Those videos take forever to make, and I'll probably get into the whole process behind making those in another episode of this. Because I think that might be something some of you will be interested in. There's a lot that goes into that. Anyways, yeah, so I've got that second channel which I've currently made, and then I've got the tutorials which are ongoing on this channel, and there's no real content that's available for you to watch where I'm sort of just, a bit more open, something that's a bit more personal where it allows me to talk to you and just connect with you as an audience and communicate to you the stuff that I maybe don't get to say in the other videos. I mean, this is really good for providing context for stuff that's put out that maybe doesn't have a lot of context behind it. For instance, if I want to just clarify something or explain my reasonings for something, then this will allow me to do that. But so I want to interact with you better as an audience, and hopefully if you are watching these, you'll be able to enjoy these discussions. And I've got a lot to say, kind of. I hope, anyways, because it'll be pretty concerning if I've just started this podcast and I don't have anything to say. But I do have some stuff to share with you. I've got another note here that says more personal compared to tutorials. I've already talked about that. Another one says allow time for drawing. And yeah, right. So because I make a lot of tutorials and videos and, second channel videos, they're taking a long time, I have very little time for drawing. That's what I've recently realised. The reason why I started YouTube in the first place, and the whole reason behind all of this, was out of a love for drawing. And, when it gets to the point where I'm not drawing as much because I'm doing this, it kind of just contradicts everything, right? So these episodes will give me a reason to draw more and produce more drawings because I'm going to need some footage to go alongside this. So yeah, I'm just going to be working on my own drawing, and that's something that I want to do a lot from now on, is focus on my own artwork as well, on my personal work, and really try and refine my style and my drawings. I've got kind of a style that's in the process of developing at the minute, I think. I'm still drawing my heavily detailed environments and landscapes, and then I'm trying to incorporate some figures and some people in there as well, sort of like building this world that is rendered in pencil in my own style. A lot of you know that I love pencil drawings. I've always been drawing in pencil, and that's what this channel is pretty much based on. I often see some comments where a lot of you are asking me to do some drawing in pen or other mediums, and I could do that, but I just kind of don't feel, well, it's not that I don't feel as confident using that medium. I mean, I can draw in pen, I just don't enjoy using it as much. It's not as satisfying for me as it is using pencil to do some drawing, for instance. And yeah, I don't know, that's just my personal opinion, and that's what I enjoy using. So I've always really been drawing in that. I did used to draw quite a bit in pen when I was younger, but pencils was something that was always like the go-to because it was easy to get hold of, and I don't know, it was probably just the fact that you could use the eraser and erase your mistakes. I mean, how good is that? If you make a mistake, you can just get rid of it and try again. Whereas if you make a mistake in pen, then it's there for good. You have to live with it. And I'm kind of a bit of a perfectionist, but I'll get into that later or in another episode. Also, one thing when it comes to pencil drawing, which is quite funny, is there's sometimes this stigma around using the eraser, which I do not understand at all. I mean, digital artists, when they're creating their artwork, they're always using the Control-Z shortcut, whatever it is, to undo on Photoshop. I mean, they're using that all the time, and they're just trying to readjust the image and the drawing and get it right. And that's all we're really doing. I mean, traditional drawing, the eraser is technically the undo button. And that's all it is. We are undoing the mistake to try again and hopefully get it right. And I mean, the good thing about working in pen, you could look at it this way. Maybe you are a beginner and you are just learning how to draw, and using a pen, because of it being permanent, it really does make you consider every decision that you make when drawing. I mean, if you're going to put that pen on the paper, it's going to stay on the paper. Once you've made that mark or that line, there's no taking that back. And I suppose it really does get you thinking about everything that you do. But if you are a beginner, why would you want that pressure anyways? I mean, doesn't it make more sense just to draw in pencil, then erase it, then try again and continue doing that, rather than having one shot at it using pen, and if you get it wrong you have to start all over again? I don't really understand that, but there's always going to be these minor things in any field that people have kind of a negative opinion towards. I actually remember because I used to do a lot of portraits a few years ago when I first started getting into drawing, and I mean, I did base a few videos on the channel around these portraits, and so I started to create some tutorials. And my intention with these, and pretty much with every tutorial that I create, is to make it as easy as possible to follow, as simple as possible for beginners, and for maybe people who are a bit more advanced, they can still learn something from it. And so the first portrait tutorial that I created, I kind of went through it and ordered it in a step-by-step process. So, I mean, there's nothing more easier to follow than something that's step-by-step, right? So, anyways, one of these steps, I think it was like the second one or something, it doesn't matter, but one of them was to create a grid on the paper and then also create a grid on the reference image, so that it really does help to get the proportions accurate, especially for beginners, because that's something that is quite challenging, especially if you are new to drawing. And when it comes to a portrait, it's also very important, and it's essential to get that right. So I suggested using a grid, and I showed how to do that in this video, and there was a lot of people commenting saying that using a grid is cheating, or using a grid is for beginners and you shouldn't do it, and all of this stuff. And honestly, it doesn't matter. If you're a beginner, you only want to create a portrait at the end of the day. It's the end result that matters, and that's pretty much everything. When it comes to artwork, this process of getting to the end result, it doesn't matter what that is. Everyone has their own process and this workflow which suits them best, and all that really matters is the final product, the image at the end. And I guarantee if you was to ask some professional concept artists or someone like that, they'd say the exact same thing. I mean, their workflow digitally, that consists of things like photo bashing, 3D modeling, everything like that. Everything that is available, these tools which will assist them in creating a final product. And that's all that really gets judged at the end of the day. And so it's all just personal. When it comes to traditional artwork, one thing that is frowned upon is tracing. And there's a lot of reasons why, but it really does depend on the context. I mean, if someone uses tracing as a tool for learning, I think I've heard someone say before that if you trace an existing image that has been created by an artist, maybe you are a fan of this artist's work, then tracing his drawing or his image is a good way to sort of learn the line work and sort of how the artist puts the image together. I'm not sure if that works, I've never tried it, but that might be a reason why someone would trace, and then that's kind of like a positive reason to do so. But then if someone was to trace an artist's image that has been created and had been created with a lot of thought and soul, and this artist had worked really hard to be able to produce an image like this, and then someone comes along and traces it, posts it on their social media and claims that they had drawn it themselves and that it was all done originally, then that's not very good. That's just lying. I mean, that's just cheating themselves. People might assume that they had drawn that, they might give them credit for it, but in the end, that's kind of funny because they might get this credit from people who see this drawing, but in themselves, they'll know that it's a lie, like it's not true. And so surely that isn't as satisfying as just learning how to draw and taking credit for something that you have actually worked for, obviously. But anyways, I've gone off on a tangent. I can't even remember what I was previously talking about. I think I was talking about my own drawing, because that's what I'm reading on these notes that I've put down here. Yeah, I really want to spend some time focusing on my own drawing and really get better at it. Hopefully. I mean, I'm still learning. The more I learn, the more I can pass on to you. And then, yeah, that's what I intend on doing. So expect a lot of drawings presented through these episodes alongside this narration. And yeah, so the next note down from that says, get deep into discussions. Get deep into discussions. Yeah, that kind of ties back into what I was saying earlier. The reason why I want to do something like this, which is a bit more long form, is because it allows me to really get into stuff and dive deep into various subjects that I don't normally get a lot of time to talk about. So yeah, and the next one says creativity in general, and I think I put that because I kind of just want to talk about creative things in general throughout these episodes. I don't just want to talk about drawing all the time, even though I will be talking about that a lot. I actually don't think I've even addressed the name of this yet, and I wasn't even going to name it because, I don't know, I'm kind of against naming things and branding things, but I've decided to call these podcasts Drawn to Create. Kind of a play on words, you know, drawn as in drawing, and then drawn as in being attracted to something, and then to create because creating is something that I do often, and that's what all of this is about. Being creative, right, and creating things. So yeah, the subjects that I'm going to be discussing throughout these episodes, there's going to be a wide range of things. I don't just want to limit myself to only talking about drawing, because I think I'll run out of things to say eventually. I mean, I've got a lot to say on the subject, but there's always an end, right? Whereas if I just keep this open, then I can talk about pretty much anything. And this is kind of like therapy for myself. I mean, throughout these episodes, I'll be able just to get into some things and talk about some things that maybe I sometimes don't express that I probably should do. when I talk about things that are maybe a bit personal or just the struggles of being an artist and trying to get to the end goal, which I don't really know what that is at the minute, but I'm sure I'll develop it eventually and we'll get there together. This is a journey that I want to document, and that is another reason why I want to do something like this, is documentation. I mean, it's good to document the journey and keep track of this process, and maybe one day I'll be able to look back on these and listen to them and reflect on how things have changed, hopefully for the better. I mean, maybe for the worst, who knows. But yeah, that's also another good reason to have something like this, to be able to manage my own thoughts in a way, I guess. I'm starting to run out of the few notes which I have put down for this episode, but one of them says my current situation, which kind of sounds negative. I mean, I'm not in any situation at all, but I think what I'm trying to say there is sort of like the position I'm in at the minute, because I want to kind of tell you my intentions and my plans a bit more. So currently I've just finished university. I did 3 years on an architecture course, and that went pretty well. I could probably do an episode that is just dedicated to talking about that. That went alright. I did the 3 years. I've just finished my third year. I'm not sure if any of you follow me on Facebook or on Instagram, but I posted the picture of my final presentation, all of the work up on the wall. I posted a picture of that, so maybe have a look at that if it's something you're interested in. And yeah, all of that is the work which I produced in this last third year. I mean, it was better than the work which I produced in the second year, and definitely the work that I produced in the first year. And yeah, the last 3 years have been enjoyable. It's been an experience. I mean, it's had its ups and downs, which I'll probably get into when I talk about it more in depth. But overall, it was mostly positive, and I was fortunate enough to have the opportunity, and luckily I've completed that now. I've just graduated, and so yeah, now I'm able to focus on all of this for a while, making videos and producing artwork. It takes 7 years to be a fully qualified architect, and I really don't feel like jumping right back into education at the minute, so I'm sort of giving myself a break, especially over the last 3 years. It was kind of stressful because I started YouTube as soon as I enrolled onto the architecture course, and I still don't understand my logic in doing that. It was really stressful because I was trying to produce videos every week, whilst also trying to create the architectural work. I mean, in the end, it did pay off. Sometimes I felt like I wasn't able to excel in both of those things because I was sort of splitting my energy up. Well, it was kind of like 40% YouTube and 60% architecture, but I couldn't really just go all in on one thing. But eventually I did find some kind of balance. I mean, I had to really plan and manage my time efficiently. I had to make like a schedule to be able to organise everything. And yeah, my mindset was pretty much just get your head down and get it done. And I did have to make some sacrifices in various areas of my life. One of them is socialising, but now I'm hopefully going to be able to make up for all of that. And all of this stuff, you know, this experience, university, architecture, I can go further into it if it's something that you'd like me to talk about. But the reason why I decided to choose architecture, it's kind of strange because it was never something that I knew that I wanted to do since I was younger, because I've never really known what I wanted to do, you know, and I still don't. Like, I'd always be happy. I know that I can be happy doing something creative like architecture, but I'm always thinking, like, is there something else that might make me happier and something that is more suitable? And it's sort of just this process of trying to find out what that is. I think YouTube is definitely ticking some boxes in terms of what makes me happy. I really do enjoy this sort of independence and being able to make whatever it is that I want for an audience. And it was never not being interested in something. It was more or less just being interested in too much. That was sort of like the double-edged sword, because I've always been interested in anything creative. All of these different creative fields will do something for me, whether it comes in the form of architecture, design, filmmaking, producing artwork, music, anything really. I think all of these things, all of these endeavors, these creative pursuits, they all encourage and enable self-expression. And I think that's what it's all about. That's why, it's kind of like an alternative language compared to the spoken word. That's why a lot of artists and creative people are sometimes considered introverted because they prefer to communicate through their artwork and the things that they produce. And that's what I've come to realise. It's all about self-expression because that gives you purpose, okay? So without the purpose, I won't be happy. And so I need something that enables me to be able to express myself in various ways, in creative ways. And that's one of the motivations for me to create the second channel because it explores different ways of doing that. And I've always just valued anything that does enable you to do that. I mean, that's all that really matters to me. I've never really placed much value in other things. Materialistic things never really mattered much to me. All I really appreciate is time because time gives you the opportunity to do all of these things. Without time, how are you going to be able to create that artwork which allows you to express yourself and that gives you that satisfaction? And that's where I place a lot of importance. Of course, there's stuff that comes before it. I mean, as long as you are healthy and you have a good group of people around you that support you and that you have good relationships with, then, I mean, you don't have to look much further than that. I'm just trying to figure out what really does make me happy to the point where, it gives me flexibility to be able to explore all of these different things. And at the minute, I think that's YouTube. It's just about trying to get it to the point where, I could actually support myself doing this. And so that's sort of like the end goal right now. But there's a long way to go. It's a slow process, and all of this stuff that I am creating takes a long time. So it's just about putting the hours in each day, and with each day, hopefully I'll be making some progress towards that end goal. And so yeah, I'm just trying to keep the discipline and do what I need to do. I did actually intend on talking about the importance of self-discipline, especially as a self-taught artist, but I might have to wait until the next episode to be able to really go into that. We're about 23 minutes in. I feel like I've been talking for about an hour. But yeah, I don't really know how long to make these episodes. I know some podcasts go on for hours and hours, but I don't think that's I don't think that's practical if I'm just doing these by myself. It is actually quite a challenge just to be able to keep talking like this and keep the discussion going without stopping. I don't want any dead air, but it doesn't matter. I suppose the drawing footage is on screen, so you can always just look at that. Yeah, I'll save the whole conversation around self-discipline as an artist for the next episode. I don't know what I'm going to title this episode yet because obviously I didn't really intend on talking about a lot of the stuff that I have done in this episode, but I hope you enjoyed it nonetheless. And if you have any questions or anything that you want me to talk about, then feel free to leave a comment down below because I will read them. And obviously, this is like a community, so we're all interested in drawing. We all want to learn and improve, hopefully. I mean, if you're out there drawing and you don't want to improve, then be a bit weird. But anyways, I hope you've enjoyed this episode. I think I'm going to wrap this one up here because I don't just want to get into a discussion about something and then not have enough time to talk about it. So we'll just take these episodes one by one and see how it develops over time. And maybe these will be a lot longer in future. It really depends on the perception. I suppose this is like a pilot episode, it's just going out there to test it out. So you can let me know what you think, and if you want to see some more of these, then let me know. But I think I'm just going to do them anyways. Like I said earlier, it gives me an excuse to do a lot of drawing, and then I can put the footage on here. I think I'll be posting some process videos of the drawings that I presented throughout these videos over on the Patreon page, and the Patreon page is a great way to support the channel. So if you do enjoy the content, then do consider checking that out. But regardless, I appreciate you watching this and spending time with me today. This has been the first episode of Drawn to Create with your host, yours truly, Dan. Maybe try and not comment about my accent this time, because, you know, I can't help that. So, anyways, yeah, I enjoyed doing this, and I hope you enjoyed it too. If you did, then please leave a like, subscribe if you want to see more. You know how all of that stuff works. So, yeah, I'll see you in the next one.